Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, do you, Link, take Player One to be your lawfully wedded husband? It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. Mark, how's it going?
It's going great. Patrick, I want to give you a life update, a little bit of a life update.
Life update, okay.
Yes, okay. So last week, I think on Thursday, actually, I was talking about my love of Murder, She Wrote and rewatching Murder, She Wrote, watching the episodes that I skipped before that didn't feature Jessica Fletcher. But I am
You're about to talk more about Murder, She Wrote. You're sure this is a life update?
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay,
I think
all right.
I think that's
We'll
the
see.
I think that's the issue that I'm falling into is so I'm currently traveling, and on the plane trip I started listening to the Murder, She Wrote books. I listened to an audiobook. I feel I just feel like it's a lot, but I'm going with it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, look, whenever you start digging into the books of something, then you're engaging in a whole new level, right? Last week when we were talking about James Bond, and I was like, do I want to read these young James Bond books? That was a tipping point, and I'm happy to say that I did not walk off that edge. I'm still on the safe side of that one. But Mark,
I still want to know what age this young James Bond is. I do. That concerns me a little bit.
Do you want to try to do let's Price is Right rules, try to guess
Okay.
how old James Bond is, young James Bond is in the first book. I'm gonna say 15.
Okay, I'm gonna guess 18.
18. Okay, great. And we'll be back with an update on Tuesday, I guess, because I'm not going to spend time looking it up now. But here's something that we are going to tell you about right now, the Sonic Forces borrowing program. Would you like to borrow my copy of Sonic Forces for the Nintendo Switch? You can, or at least you can get on the list to do so. All you gotta do is email us at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com and give us a mailing address where we can send you my copy of Sonic Forces. You play it for as long as you want. You send it back. I pay for postage both ways. It's a perfect borrowing program.
Here's another thing you can do. You can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere that you get your podcast. We appreciate it so much when you do. It helps people find the show. Patrick and I love reading your reviews. If you leave us a review on the US Apple Podcast Store, we can see it, and we will give you a shout out on the show. But if you leave us a review anywhere else, we can't see it, but we still want to give you a shout out. So hit us up on Twitter, send us an email, let us know, and so we can acknowledge it. And thank you so much to anybody who has already left us a 5-star review anywhere that you can.
Yeah, it's been a little while, Mark, but I'm going to offer big ups to anyone who has already given us a 5-star
Yes,
review.
I think it's time. I think it is time.
To revive the big ups?
Uh-huh.
And also, you should get in our Discord, especially, but not exclusively, if you are playing Splatoon 3. There is a lot of good chatter in there about how people are doing, things that they're finding, the ways that they're finding success in the game. And beyond that, it's just a fun, chill place to talk about Nintendo stuff. So hit us up on Twitter, send us an email, and we will invite you into the Discord. And it doesn't matter if you're new to the platform. Look, Mark and I were new to the platform a couple months ago, and now we're still pretty new to the platform. But it doesn't stop it from being fun, right?
Totally.
All right, Mark, let's get into it. Let's give Nintendo franchises the Fire Emblem Engage treatment. Now, Mark, what do we mean here?
Well, one of the big features, seemingly, of Fire Emblem Engage is being able to summon characters from previous games into the franchise into this one.
Yes, and beyond that, it seems, and look, I think we're making a couple inferences here. but you channel their like powers or bring them into the world via rings, and the game is called Engage. So I have to, Mark, I have to believe that romancing characters from previous entries in the series is going to be a main feature of this Fire Emblem
Ooh,
game.
baby, I sure hope so.
I sure hope so too, because that's the premise of this episode of this show. Is what other, because what a cool novel idea, right? And Fire Emblem kind of like messes around in those waters a lot, both in terms of like romancing the other characters, or like pairing characters off is a sort of like common thing that happens in them, and then with the Fire Emblem mobile game, Fire Emblem Heroes, yes. That's selecting characters from sort of all across the canon and just lumping them together, but really without the sort of like relationship angle of it. So what we're doing now is we're gonna see what other Nintendo franchises you should be able to pull in characters from previous entries, and then I don't know, maybe you're romancing them, maybe you're building relationships.
So the way that I did this is that I have some entries here where I'm like, okay, this franchise would benefit for being able to summon, and then I have some other ones that are like this franchise would be able to would benefit for being able to romance. But I will say that there is, I'm sure in some of the, well, actually, I'm looking at it. Yeah, okay, so yeah, in some of the summon scenarios, it would be nice to be able to romance them as well.
Yeah, well, and I think that's something that we're just going to have to deal with, is that no matter what, in all of these scenarios, yeah, you'll summon these characters, and then I'm sorry, someone's going to have to romance them as well. I'm sorry.
Okay, I mean, fair is fair.
We just have to deal with it, and I apologize, but that's the world and the scenario that we've set up for ourselves. So Mark, I will go first. Because and this is the one that I probably have thought out the most as far as like what this game would actually be. This is an Animal Crossing game, where where instead of taking the role of like a player, a villager who's moving to a new island, now you are Tom Nook, right? And your island or whatever, your village has been invaded by a bunch of players who just want to have an enjoyable town to live in. So you get to choose which of the Animal Crossing neighbors, the little animal characters, like come into the village. So you summon them in, and so like you're sort of like whittling down this list so that you're only putting in little animal neighbors that your villagers are going to enjoy spending time with.
Oh, okay. Okay. I really like this. I wasn't 100% sure where it was going. If it was like Tom Nook just willowing down the list of possible villagers to the ones he thought were like romanceable.
No. So look, I don't want to say that any of the Animal Crossing villagers are unromanceable. I don't want to say that. I'm sure there are quite a few.
They're all worthy of love. Yes.
They're all worthy of love. And this is maybe less focused on romance and more just on the like, you see someone who like likes having fun and likes music, and you're like, okay, well now I'm gonna put Cookie in here so that
I understand.
like, they enjoy. Yeah.
So. So instead of kind of like Happy Home Paradise, where you're designing a home to make the villager happy, you're playing like matchmaker.
You're kind of playing matchmaker, yeah. But like I just like the idea of sort of inverting, like turning Animal Crossing inside out, right? That like a villager, like a human-looking villager, shows up to the town and starts like decorating their house in certain ways, and you're like, okay, I can get a feeling for their personality, and then like go through the list and be like, okay, I think they'll like fauna, I think they'll like sherb, and like you can just summon whoever you want to that town to be their friend.
I love that idea so much. I love like the mystery, as like villagers are there longer and they can build more stuff and more about their
Mm-hmm.
personality is revealed, that you're like, oh, like, uh-oh, I thought like, sure was going to be a good fit, but there's a toilet in the kitchen, so got to find somebody else.
I gotta find someone weirder than Sherb, which is a tall ask. And so, I mean, is romance possible in this? You bet. I mean, I think, I think if you just nail it and you put the absolute right character in there, that the villager and that character will fall in love. They'll move in together. It'll be great.
I love this. I love this. Well, so my first pick is one that I would say was not with the intention of romancing, and that is the Paper Mario series. So one thing I think would be very cool is the ability to summon partner characters from old Paper Mario games into a new one, because like partners continue to exist in the series in some form, but really I would say the first two games, so Paper Mario 64 and then Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door, really lean into this idea of like partners that you can like that you kind of like collect in your party, and then you can swap them out and they grow in abilities and all that kind of stuff. Whereas in later games, and like the Origami King, you have uh people who kind of like flit in and out of your life, but it's just not like the same sort of like
Yeah.
RPG type progression. But some of those partners are so beloved. Like one of my favorites from the Thousand Year Door is uh he's like Yoshi, or like Yoshi Kid. He's basically this like punk Yoshi baby who you
Yeah.
meet in like a fighting ring. And I think it would just be very fun to be able to summon them into into a new Paper Mario game and be able to like use them as part of your party. Use their
Yeah.
abilities.
Yeah, no, that would be really, really cool. A kind of, it would also be neat to like open it up to the other Mario RPGs too. Like, let's get Gino and Mallow in there as well. I guess the Mario and Luigi games, all of the playable characters are Mario and Luigi or baby versions of themselves or Paper Mario.
Yeah, totally. And I even think like I can imagine a game where I don't know. I feel like with anything like this, you need some sort of shared universe for them all to be in. So it's like, okay,
Yeah,
because of
sure.
like the paper aesthetic, maybe it is like a storybook type thing where you're telling the next chapter in the Paper Mario story, but then you're able to pull in characters from past chapters to be able to help you out.
Yeah, I mean, it's what it is it's like Paper Mario scrapbook is what it
Yes.
is. You're just like
Yes.
flipping pages back and like pulling a photograph from one and like pasting it in the other.
Uh-huh. And like look, could there be romancing angles? Maybe.
Sure. I don't know of too many romance scrapbooks, but I buy it.
Yeah, all right.
I think it's good. Mark, I was thinking about Cooper from Super Mario or Paper Mario 64, and how similar his name is to Hooper, Richard Dreyfuss's character from Jaws. Um, so now I just want to hear Quint like barking out orders to him on the boat.
Uh-huh.
Cooper, Cooper. That's a good one, Mark. My second pick here, and I haven't really worked this one out, but there are just too many Donkey Kong Country characters spread out among the franchise that like. Look, we need to get some of those Donkey Kong 64 characters to like interact with Dixie and Cranky Kong. Like it's just absurd. It's been dormant for too long. And so I don't know if it's just like a platformer where like you play as a zookeeper and you just have to like let out the right monkey to to like go on, to do clear whatever level you have to do. I'm uncertain on how to romance this, and I'm uncomfortable with romancing it.
Well, let me so it's so funny that you have Donkey Kong, because let me give you my next pick, and we'll see if there's some sort of synergy here.
Okay, great.
Because my next pick is for the Mario plus Rabbids series. I think it
Okay.
would be wonderful to be able to. I know we had the Donkey Kong DLC, but I think it would
Right.
be wonderful to be able to summon other Donkey Kong or Mario like franchise adjacent characters into the
Oh.
game, like trophies in Smash Brothers or like summons in Final Fantasy. So like
Yes.
they're not like a core part of the team, but you're bringing in Swanky Kong, and there's this like 4-minute animation, of him having this like Wheel of Fortune type wheel
Right,
or
right.
something.
And you
Showcase
can't speed it
showdown.
up. You can't skip it.
No, you have to watch all of it. It's really framey, and he like spins the Showcase showdown wheel,
Hmm.
and you're watching it for like 4 minutes, but then it like blows your enemies away. Um, and that and that this is the one that when you're like, no, they're all gonna be romanceable. I was like, all right, let's throw Swanky Kong in there. Let's throw Lanky Kong in there. Lanky deserves love.
I mean, Swanky, I feel like is among the most easily romanceable of the Kongs, right? Like he's got a job.
Yeah,
There's
no, it's so true. A real job, not like a
a
Funky
real job.
Kong. Like I know
No,
Funky Kong's an inventor, but we don't have any time for this Wayne Zelinsky energy. Like Swanky
no,
Kong,
it's too much. Yes,
Swanky Kong, he's already rich.
he's hosting a TV show. Like people count on him, right? He's a job maker. So yeah. I mean, he seems easy to romance. I mean, maybe what we need is just a Swanky Kong romance game. Swanky Kong romance simulator. But yeah, no, I do really like that idea of using other Mario. Now, if you're using them as like summons in a Mario plus Rabbit style thing, are they coming in as themselves or as the Rabbit versions of themselves?
Oh, that's interesting. I think that maybe it depends on who is summoning them. So if
Oh wow, yeah, okay.
So like if it is, well, see, the other reason I wanted to explore this is because I think the rabid versions of these characters, of like Mario characters that we've seen, have been fun, but there are obviously like so many that continue to exist. Like we'll well, I guess never say never, but like seems unlikely we will see like a Wario rabid or something like
Right.
that.
There are like little mini boss characters that are a Rabid Wario and a Rabid Waluigi, but
Oh,
like they're
that's
not
right. Yeah.
they're not really developed though, like in
Uh-huh.
the same way that like our core cast is.
Yeah, and I think it would just be fun to see like Princess Daisy, like
Hmm.
more of these characters have an opportunity to just like show up, and they don't have to be part of your party, but just introduced into the world.
Okay, what about this? What if the sequel to Sparks of Hope is a new Mario plus Rabbids game where you only have two playable characters. One of them is some sort of like Rabbid wizard, and the other is a Magic Koopa, probably Kamek, right? And so if Kamek summons them, then it's just like the normal Mario version, and if the Rabbid wizard summons them, then it's the Rabbid version of that character.
Yes, perfect.
So that plus a Swanky Kong romance sim.
Yeah, I think this would definitely be a Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury situation.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. All right, Mark, for my next pick, I went back to the days of the Nintendo 64 and mashed it up with something from the golden age of 2019. So from the Nintendo 64 era, I'm of course pulling in the idea of Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, right? We've got this Nintendo exclusive Star Wars game. It's sort of the cornerstone of this like whole big publishing movement. There's a book, there's all this stuff, right? Um, and then I'm pulling in Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Somehow Palpatine returned. And there is a bit at the end of The Rise of Skywalker that is that, like, in theory, should be the very concept that we're talking about, and should be cool and should be empowering and should be acknowledging Jedi from across the canon, but it basically doesn't. When Rey summons like the strength, when she is all the Jedi or whatever that line is, I haven't seen the movie in 3 years. Um, I just want that moment, the like attack on Exegol. I want that where you play as Rey and you play as Kylo Ren, and you just can summon the ghosts of any Jedi in any Star Wars game, in any Star Wars movie, in any Star Wars cartoon to just fight alongside you.
Ooh, yes. And so are you saying like blow out that like specific moment or just taking that
Yeah.
idea? Oh, okay, okay.
No, let's just take that moment. So like you're on Exegol, I guess Kylo Ren has to fight the Knights of Ren, and Rey is just like bowling over some like Exegol cultists, just to take them down, and just like summoning Ahsoka Tano, summoning Luke Skywalker, summoning Qui-Gon Jinn, just like whoever you want. It would be so much fun.
Oh yeah, man, that would be amazing. That would be amazing.
Yeah, yeah,
I was trying to think. There's like a French film that begins basically like the entirety of the film actually happens in just like a split moment. Like it opens with like a tower beginning to fall, and then the rest of the film happens and it ends with like the tower falling. And so that's what I'm thinking of when you talk about like blowing out that one specific moment where it's like in the
Yes.
game it could it takes like 12 hours, but in the world of Rise of Skywalker it all happens in just like a blink of an eye.
I mean, that could be that too. That like she has to get to know. This is actually better. That she has to get to know all the Jedi. So like time freezes, and she finds herself in a room with every Jedi who's ever existed. And I mean every Jedi. We're going all the way back to like the High Republic. Like everyone is here, right? It's like the Super Smash Brothers. Everyone is here, and she has to have like a discreet romance with each one, and then you can actually go into the final confrontation with Palpatine only after you've gotten to know all the Jedi.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, speaking of fictional characters, I don't
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if this counts as a franchise because there's only been one entry. But I
Hmm.
think that Codename Steam would be improved if you were able to romance characters within it. Because
Yes.
other than like Abraham Lincoln, a lot of the characters in the game are like Wizard of Oz characters or other like John Henry's in it, like other like literary characters. And I think it's a missed opportunity to not allow you to romance amongst them. Like in a sequel, I want Dr. Henry Jekyll to be able to romance Mr. Hyde. This is a thing that should
Whoa,
be
what?
that should this is a thing that should be able to happen.
Whoa, holy cow,
And
Mark.
if you have
You're
seen
blowing
my
my
live
mind
journal
here. I
from
am
2000
uncomfortable.
if you've seen my live journal from 2002, you know how
Right,
it all
right. You
plays
see it
out.
in there already.
Uh-huh.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love to see, Huck Finn romanced by Queequeg from from Moby Dick. No, I think this is an awesome idea and should be like the sort of additional part of it, because it's theoretically we're talking like a sequel, the Codename Steam, right?
Right.
Is we should take even more characters from American folklore and American like literature of like the 18th and 19th centuries, or 19th and 20th centuries, I guess, and just like throw them all in there, right? Like I want to I want them all. Let's get some Hemingway characters in there. Let's get a Gadsby as a playable character.
Oh
in
yeah,
this
there you
game.
go. Nick, oh my gosh, it does feel like a missed opportunity that Nick Carraway was not a character in Codename Steam.
Yeah, I mean, right? Let's just do it, and then like let's get Nick Carraway and Johnny Appleseed. Like I want to be able to romance these two. It's a. Is it worth like going back to just like talk about what Codename Steam actually is?
Oh yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Codename Steam was a turn-based strategy game developed by Intelligent Systems on the 3DS, So that's the publisher that does, or the developer that makes the Fire Emblem games, and it's a little XCOM like, and it takes place in some sort of like steampunk version of like 19th century America, and Abe Lincoln is the president who's maybe like giving you orders.
I think like he was presumed dead, because
Yeah.
assassination, but in this game was actually not dead or something like that.
Yeah, it's a bonkers alternate history that like just pulls in all these fictional characters, and is just an amazingly strange little thing. And you have to defend the United States against an alien invasion.
And
Incredible.
it's challenging to express how hard this flopped.
Oh yes, huge flop.
Yeah.
Well, because like this is just another one of those things where it's like the Japanese were like, we'll make the most American game we can, and Americans were like, we don't recognize that as American. This is just weird. But yeah, what a crazy game. Absolutely recommend checking it out if you ever have a chance. All right, Mark, my next pick. We were talking about this series not that long ago, and I think we started to identify a couple babes in the cast, right? A couple that were like, we should spend more time with this guy. I'm of course referring to Mega Man. I just want a game where you're playing as Mega Man and you're summoning robot bosses to like hang out with you. Maybe you need to summon them to like use their powers, but like then you go get dinner afterwards.
I think that would be a great inversion on the Mega Man formula, right? Instead of trying to defeat the robot masters, you are trying to befriend them. Yes.
Yeah. This is a reformed Mega Man who doesn't want any more blood or oil on his hands, and is just like, I still need access to these other powers. I can catch more flies with honey than I can with violence.
Oh, okay. So it's
yeah.
Mega Man is romancing them for he's buttering them up because he wants to use them. It's not actually sincere friendship.
No, it's not sweet at all.
Oh,
no,
okay.
It's devious.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So kind of in the way, like in this version, Mega Man is the villain.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of these pitches are like inversions of the original game concepts.
Sorry.
And this one, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, so in this scenario, Mega Man is Freddie Prinze Jr. and the robot masters are
Rachel Lee Cook. Yeah, that's right.
And
yeah,
what is that movie
right,
called?
She's All That.
Oh, She's All That. Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about?
That is what that's yes, that's what I was intending to talk about.
Very good, very good. Yeah, I mean, it's look, we know that Mega Man's got some like weird kind of bro energy to him, right? Like we can intuit that from like looking at him. His name is Mega Man or Rock Man. Like I think we should all be a little bit careful around him. We know that like he's a sweetheart, but he wants something, right? So yeah, that's and look. Am I just looking for an opportunity to romance Cutman? You bet I am.
I get it.
I want to stroke those scissors, baby.
Anyone who has read my live journal from 2002 knows that is a real thing. Okay, my final pick is romance related as well. And this one is the Punch-Out franchise. Because I feel like after
Yes.
a fight, sure, are you nursing sore muscles? Are you nursing a sore jaw? Yes. But also a sore heart. Because what is the point of being the greatest boxer in the world if you're doing it alone?
Right. So wait a minute. Are you saying that in this game you play as Little Mac?
I am, yeah.
Okay, and you need to romance the fighters that you've been fighting?
That is 100% what I'm saying. So yeah, so like
you're gonna go on a date with
King Hippo,
Glass Joe. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
Exactly. Piston Hondo, like you name it, right? Like no hard feelings. It's all just professional. Now after the fight, let's get to know each other.
Yeah. I mean and look, the Rocky movies have taught us that like, the fighting can't be all of it, right? Like you need to
Right.
still build relationships and stuff, and like ultimately that's what's more important, because you're going to get your face like knocked in at some point, and you need someone to take care of you and to love you even when you're not a winner in the ring.
And that person could be Pizza Pasta.
Person could totally be Pizza Pasta. I have an important question for you, Mark. Are we putting any of the arm wrestling characters in here?
Oh, from the the arcade machine?
Yeah, from the arm wrestling arcade machine.
Yes, but I think it would be like season pass material. Like you got to pay if you want the
Sure,
arm
you
wrestling
gotta pay for
characters in
those.
there. Yep.
I believe one of those characters is a gorilla with like a brain implant controlled by a little girl. I think that character's not in there.
I think that character's not in there. I think that's
I don't
fair.
think
I
I
think
don't
that's
think that
fair.
character should be in this game.
That's one that won't make the cut.
Mark, would you be surprised to know that Punch Out was also on my list?
I love it.
All right, so I've got some backups here. Trying to decide which of the backups I like the most. It's tough because like there are things that I think would be fun here. I'm just gonna throw out the ones I'm not gonna use, just to mention them briefly. So F-Zero, I think it would be fun to like channel the racing abilities of various characters, and maybe you're like an AI and you've got all of the previous races uploaded to your memory, and you just like access them to take corners sharper. You're accessing Captain Falcon or whatever. But there's no romance in that. I don't see any romance in that, so that's not one that I want to pick here. I also put Star Tropics on the list as one of my backups. That I don't really know exactly what I don't have that one thought out. So I'm throwing it out. Which leads me to the logical conclusion, and one that I'm surprised we haven't talked about yet. Giving the Fire Emblem Engage treatment to The Legend of Zelda.
Ooh, of course.
Because we're talking about an enormous cast of characters over like a dozen games. When we had the discussion about the best Zelda NPCs, that was like a 2-hour long conversation where we discussed, I don't know, maybe 24 characters. And like when we whittled it down to like the top 10, that top 10 mark, it became difficult, right? So all I'm saying is there are a ton of characters in the Zelda universe that I would want to have a chance to romance and to just like summon into like whatever temple I'm in to like try and solve puzzles and stuff.
Yeah, that could be like I mean, romance part 100%. The summoning part, that could be like really cool. It makes me you saying that makes me think of, like the Dark Souls games or those From Software games that allow you to most of the time summon like another player character into before you're about to go into like a boss battle to help you in the boss battle. But that same sort of like mechanic could totally work for NPCs. In fact, I think there are NPCs in the Dark Souls games that can like do that. And it is such a like a fun mechanic because if you have made those connections elsewhere and so that way you've kind of like earned the right to be able to pull this person in to help you out.
Yeah, well, and like I just think about how the ability to play as the champions, right, was enough to make me buy Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, right? Like, I knew that was going to be a Musou game that, like, is not traditionally a game type that I, like, actually like to play all the way through. I like to sort of sample them. But, like, I got the game anyway because I was like, I'm going to get to play as, Rivali or Daruk or whoever. Mifa and Urbosa are the other two. And I was excited to play as all of them. But, like, if you could summon them to, like, fight alongside you and then, like, get some, I mean, it's just, and it doesn't stop there, right? Like, I want to summon, like, Ravio into my game. I want to summon Midna into my game. There are so many good, Tingle, of course, characters that you want to summon in. But it makes me, okay, Mark, do you think in this scenario for this game, are you playing as Link?
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe you are not playing as Link. Maybe you're playing as Zelda? and you're using your magic, because then like all the different links
yeah,
from
that makes
throughout
more sense. Yeah.
like all the different links from different timelines or different ages could also be summonable into the game depending on what you needed at the moment.
Yeah, no, that makes good sense. There's also, if you're playing as Link, it feels like a little bit of a cheat because uh, he's so hot, and everyone is just like, I mean, right? Like
Yeah.
everyone is crazy about Link, especially in Breath of the Wild. Everyone's horny for him
Uh-huh.
in like a way that's yeah. If you're walking around that game with no clothes on, people like they don't know what to do. They're out of their minds.
I also I for some reason I just really like the idea of being, like being able to summon like Toon Link, because you're from like Wind Waker, because you're like, I
Yeah.
really need a short squat little Link with a boat. Like that's what I need right now.
I mean, I can totally see. I mean, first of all, if you can summon Linnebeck, that's awesome. I
That's
want
a
to summon
win.
that guy. But also like Tetra. I know we're saying maybe you play as Zelda, but you should be able to summon the Toon / pirate captain version of Zelda
Totally.
from Wind Waker. That'd be super rad.
It would be very fun to see. I mean, it's almost like an Avengers Endgame type, like
Yes, that's right.
like a mashup, right? You do
Mhm.
want to see all these different characters from different universes and timelines all kind of coming together. Or I guess it would be more like the Spider-Man No Way Home type thing. Just that joy of seeing these beloved characters who have never been able to interact because they're all in different timelines, like come together. There's something very appealing about that.
But so that's the Legend of Zelda. I think it would be perfect. Mark, I had one more thought that was sort of developing as we were talking about this just now, and I'm not sure why it hasn't already happened. Why isn't there like a Castlevania, like mashup with all the like all the Belmonts and like all of those characters like working together, and they can all be like in hell or something, right? Like after they've all died and just have to like fight their way out.
It's like like the Mortal Kombat essentially, or at least that like like a Mortal Kombat platformer with Castlevania characters.
I see no flaw in that.
You're right. Every part of that just keeps getting more awesome.
The big problem, of course, being that there are too many family members to make it romanceable.
Mm-hmm.
Too many Belmonts is what I'm saying.
A sacrifice I'd be willing to make for a platformer of this type.
All right, Mark. So those are Nintendo franchises that we would like to see get the Fire Emblem Engage treatment. How right do you think we are about the sort of romanceability of the characters from like? Are we really going to be able to romance Marth, or like does that seem real to you?
Boy, I hope so. I think there were like a couple of reasons why it didn't make the cut for Three Houses, but I think that they, it is no kind of what saved Fire Emblem. I feel like it is a core element of Fire Emblem, and it'll be really funny to me with a name like Engage and all this like ring imagery if you are not able to.
Yeah, I mean it would be a shame. All right, Mark, let's close this out. All right, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. If you have a franchise or a single entry that makes up a franchise that you think should get the Fire Emblem Engage treatment, email us or hit us up on Twitter or Discord and let us know, and we can talk about it in the future. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, please rate, review, and follow us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. If you like this episode, you can share it on Facebook or Twitter. We appreciate it when you do that. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at Nin Cart Society. I almost spoke too many words in our handle there. It's not Nintendo Cartridge Society, just Nin Cart Society. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.